What's going on? Boys, thanks to our patrons and Fiverr customers, subscribe to our Patreon free for behind-the-scenes stuff. Arm yourselves, typology stuff. My neck hurts, so we are recording in a weird position. Also, if you want to get straight into the video, the timestamp is in the pinned comment. I've been thinking about typology in the back of my mind for a while now, and to do typology the way I was doing it, your brain needs to be set up for a typology economy, like World War II United States. I don't think I'll ever go back to that mindset with typology, because that is a whole lot of mental bandwidth dedicated to something that gives you narrow, limited outcomes or outputs, which is part of what we'll be talking about in this video. Now, I'll continue to do typology in a limited capacity, both because it's profitable and popular, and also because within the narrow confines in which typology is useful, it is very useful, but unless something changes, I'm mostly over typology. I got what I wanted out of it, and the work that can still be done, for the most part, again, unless something changes, will be refining what we already know. And we'll make videos about that as we make progress. We'll also make typology videos about not that, but the way we'll be doing those. If we're sticking with the war economy example, we will be remixing Cold War era technology. We'll be on the cutting edge of Hilux technicalization. I'm not going to be field researching shit. I'm not going to be cross-referencing shit. I'll tell you exactly what we'll be doing. We will be strictly theorizing or abstracting based on research we gathered years ago, and we'll be spinning it like it's new and tested. But it's not new, and it's also not tested. But I think we're at a point in my YouTubing career I can sell it like it is. And because we're just so good at this, my technicals will get you better results than other nations' tanks will. And if you'd prefer something else or something greater, there are tons of skits, informative educational skits out there you can watch. Lots of cutting-edge research in the regurgitation department. I'm sure that'll serve you better. Now into the main video. Typology isn't the answer. It is an answer, but it isn't the answer. 99% of the typology community is dog shit. Most people who get into typology get into it on an identitarian level, on a shallow level, on a put a pin in your cap level. They're doing it because they want to feel like they have an identity, or they want to feel distinguished from other people. That's why everybody is so obsessed with analytics, right? And also why people who call themselves INTJs and INFJs, whether they are INTJs or INFJs or not, get very upset when they hear a statistical factoid like ESTP women are rarer than all of them. Because that threatens the entire reason they got into typology, which was to feel unique or distinguished in some way. Inherently unique, inherently superior in a lot of cases. This video isn't about them, but I do like shitting on them, and I will take every opportunity to do so. Like Sheriff Bell with the old timers, hearing about their lives. This video is more addressing people who get into typology looking for a silver bullet, a singular, even if it's complicated, answer to all socialization, or just to people. People who go into typology with the idea, if they can master one of these systems or a couple of these systems, then they will understand themselves and be able to fix themselves, and they will understand people and be able to deal with them in whatever way they'd like to deal with them. Because when you first get into typology, and especially once you get that like coke bump and realize, holy shit, there's something to this, it is very easy to lose your mind. Especially because, or especially because there is something to it. Every time you learn something and you apply it and you see it work, you reinforce your idea of typology as the answer. And you get so into it, you don't realize how narrow or how narrowly you're succeeding when you do succeed. Typology is like being able to waterbend like a beginner waterbender 2,000 miles in any direction you aren't. It's a freakish power, an almost magical power, that isn't going to help you very much outside very specific circumstances. And in those circumstances, there is not a better tool, which is one of the reasons I don't shit on people or won't shit on people who want to learn typology still, people who practice typology. There is a good use for it, but it's so narrow. So let's address people who might be getting into typology and find this video, or people who haven't had their Jesus Christ, all this work to cause a little bit of rain in Africa, a little bit of rains in Africa. People haven't had their awakening yet. Before you sell your soul to typology and go all the way down the deep end, what can you use typology for, or how can you learn about and use typology on a more basic and more time-efficient level? Well, first, I'd start by learning cognitive functions. However, after you've made yourself aware of the cognitive functions, I'd recommend you focus on FE and FI, especially if you are getting into typology to try to figure out people. Or if you want to get a little bit more specific, FI and TE and TI and FE, but the soul of it, and people are so fucking persnickety. This isn't socionics. The benefit of typology is exactly because it isn't socionics. So we're going to stick with calling it FE and FI to keep things simple and not asinine, not anal, uselessly anal. You learn FE and FI well because those are where you'll find the souls of people. Or if you want to break people up into the two most distinguishing camps, the FE people and the FI people. Everything else, every other function, every other type, every other typological concept, that's all auxiliary. If you can get a handle on how FI types think and operate versus how FE types think and operate, in a day or two of learning about this, you'll have a huge leg up on most people alive. I cannot overstate how potent that distinction is once you learn it. And maybe you can book smart study up on it. Tell yourself on the day you're learning it, this is the most important thing in typology I'll learn. And you keep repeating yourself to that. You probably won't understand it until you've seen it and it sinks into your skin. But once it does, that's the tool. If I could give anybody one thing to walk away from typology with, or beam information into anyone's head, one little datum, that's what it is. FE versus FI. Now, if you're getting into typology to learn about yourself, who you are, how to solve your problems, once again, learn the cognitive functions. Take the Sakhanorva test, use the one I'll link in the description, figure out your type and your stack. And it's funny, with how much time we've dedicated on this channel to shadow work, I'll recommend you don't learn anything about the shadow. Or maybe you educate yourself a little bit about what it is, but if you're doing the Cliff Notes version of this, you don't need that. That's one of those really narrow things that feels like magic, but if you're using typology or intend to use typology as a tool and you want to be very efficient with your time, focus solely on determining your type and your stack, which includes the 4 conscious cognitive functions and their positions in your stack. And if you're getting into typology and you're one of these people, and there are a lot of them who cannot figure out their type or can't look at the functions and immediately know which one is their inferior function and which one is their dominant function, you should probably not bother with typology to begin with. Okay, take the 16P test and call yourself whatever it gives you, because your mind isn't in the game, in the bettering yourself using typology game. If you don't have enough self-understanding to have even the slightest idea of what your weaknesses are and what your strengths are in any sort of a sober fashion, you probably won't ever. That's an inability to scramble eggs. If you don't already have a natural sense of it, you probably won't. Hire a life coach. That'd probably get you better results. Anyway, what you're doing by determining your type is getting a clear read on your strengths and weaknesses. You should have a vague idea of what those are to begin with, but by getting specifics on them, you can troubleshoot, look up some solutions, maybe made by someone you know, and apply them like bolt-ons and be a little bit better going forward. Now, the trap in viewing typology as the answer to all your problems, is your existence is a problem. No amount of research, no amount of manifesting, no amount of positive thinking or negative thinking or discipline will fix that. Typology lures you in by suggesting, and I think typology is a suggestion heavy practice, suggesting if you can use typology to troubleshoot the deeper problems and find them, then there will be an answer for them, or you can work out an answer for them, and you'll develop that assumption based on the success you achieve on the shallow end. But all you'll discover once you go deep, deep, deep into typology is there are things there, but you don't fully understand them. You feel like they know you better than you know them. You can't see them, you can kind of vaguely feel them, and being around them can help you. That's part of going all the way down the rabbit hole, is building that connection, building as much understanding as you can, which won't be a lot. But the problem here is twofold. One, these problems, if we're thinking about this like a brain, the most you can do is descend a little bit into one of the crevices of your brain. But those crevices go deeper than you can see, certainly deeper than you can go, and also deeper than your charts suggest they go. That's like trying to recode your soul or to rebuild the foundations of your structure from the top of the Eiffel Tower. People who say you can, that's the height of arrogance, and the bad sort of arrogance. And bad because it'll trap you without your realizing you've trapped yourself. I view this deeper shit as the equivalence of going down deepish into the ocean in a diving bell. It's probably something, if you're about this life, you should do, but In your diving bell, the most you'll be able to do is get a feel for a little bit of what's down there, but you won't really be able to do a lot. And the deepest you can go isn't a fraction of how deep it actually goes. All this to say, the answers, the answers that exist that you can pick up and apply, those are all things you can learn in the shallow end relatively quickly. The deeper you go, the more powerless you are, or at least the more powerless you feel. You're always this powerless, but you go deep into it, you're just more aware of it, and you're miserable. And it's only a vaguely sexy kind of miserable. Take the money close to the surface and run. You won't do that, but I'm telling you, down here, there is nothing. There is no solution and no salvation down in these waters. Oh, and we got off on a tangent there. The other side of the problem here is the problem you're trying to solve is you. You are who you are because you deviate from flatness. You deviate from zero. This entire idea of fixing yourself, it's trying to make yourself feel better or feel less challenged or feel more comfortable, more smoothed over. But the thing is, you are an existential problem. If you could smooth yourself over, you would cease to be. And I don't mean that in a happy horseshit reassuring way. Like you're perfect the way you are and you should feel happy about your existence. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying your misery is your soul. Misery isn't a defect of your soul. Misery is your soul. Unfortunately, what you are is a thing that feels bad to be. Because you're an aberration. Because you are a wrinkle in the sheets. Because you are a kink in the hose. Your continued existence is a strain against the way things would like to be. So yes, you can learn typology, you can learn 1,000 different things and make your life quotes better, or you can find things that will make you feel quotes better temporarily, but you'll never really be happy. You'll never truly figure things out. But also, you'll never be able to accept that you'll never be able to figure things out, that you'll never be able to be happy. That is the nature of this game. You are a sustained flame of would prefer not to be. You will never feel basically satisfied or happy with who you are or what you are, no matter who you are or what you become. You will never find satisfaction. Not even in the knowledge, you will never find satisfaction. I don't know why life is like this, but this is the way life is. There is no answer. There is no happy ending. There is no resolution. Because this state of misery, of dissatisfaction, is what you are. This is you. And the most painful thing about this is it doesn't matter if you get your head around this or not. You will still feel dissatisfied and you will still look for a way to deal with it. My point in telling you this is before you dedicate years of your life to one of these assuaging systems, I strongly recommend you find one that will be more fun for you or more entertaining. Because typology in this game, typology is one of the longest, at least in my experience, answer roads you can walk, and it's also one of the least fulfilling or becomes unfulfilling fast. Be one of the people who goes to a yoga class and jerks off meditating. Be a transcendental meditationalist. In terms of these shitty answer paths, it looks like that's a good one that stays fun for most people for a long time. Go down that path. This road, if you're able to walk it, will leave you feeling worse and less effective. Because that's the other thing is, I mentioned earlier, you can find certain answers that'll make some things easier. And some answer paths have these lesser answers laid out in a rewarding, it's like a battle pass, right? Philosophy, you like Nietzsche, that's a battle pass. Some battle passes are structured well. They keep you entertained all the way to the end. Typology is not like that. Typology is good shit that you can apply, that you can use like tools, outside the very narrow shit which we'll get into later. That's all on the front end. The rest is this speculative torture. And then going on to the other side for a second, if you're getting into typology to figure out how to deal with people, there are so many better ways you can learn to deal with people. Take what you learn about FE and FI, and then, I'm not bullshitting you, and you probably won't hear this again on this channel for a long time, but read some self-help books about communication. How to win friends and influence people. Conversationally speaking, that's a newer one I'm liking. The Like Switch. Glow-in-the-dark communication books are very good. Books on sales are good. Sell with a story. Take some communication classes, or do something like Toastmasters, even though that organization is kind of freaky alien genotype game of the year and then get a job that forces you to deal with people, or go to shitty adult education or community courses probably your local university puts on, or not university, excuse me, community college. It's like getting healthy, right? You don't need science-based lifting, and there's a reason science-based lifters look like people who practice science-based lifting versus people who go outside and touch grass a lot. In fact, typology is a lot like science-based lifting. Most valuable in the nichest or narrowest circumstances. And where it shines a lot. But if you're trying to use this as your foundation because you, in your retard brain, believe you've found this one-stop shop tool, this key that you can think, like you can scholar your way through the problems of existence, you will be like an uncool Icarus. You won't even get halfway to the sun. You'll be the dude who jumps off and flaps a couple times. Maybe you get 15 feet, like one of those Red Bull challenges, those gliders. You'll be glider guy. And that's another painful thing in all this. I spite the idea of scholaring your way through life, because that's what I tried to do, and still what I'm inclined to try to do. There is no answer. The process of looking for ways to get answers, it's like you're signing up for different tortures. You're signing up for different miseries. And it shouldn't matter which miseries you sign up for. I hate this game more than anything. It's so funny, though. It's so funny, though. It doesn't matter which miseries you sign up for in your answers seeking, but you specifically must seek out and sign up for miseries that you don't know firsthand are miseries yet. They are all miseries, and you can be totally aware of that, but you have to go sign up for the ones you don't know about yet. while spiting the ones you have found not to work, even though none of them work. This is a shit show. We are in the middle of the worst mortal disaster maybe ever. We are a Burger King with 2 staff in the ghetto. This is a current objective survive situation, except we are chiefless. If you can hack it, there are less miserable ways to be miserable. There are more effective ways to be ineffective. What will I give? Well, okay, on this front, before we get into the narrow specifics, what in general will I give deeper typology? Deep typology is like circuited witchery. It's like tech magic or tech esotericism. If you want to get into the weirder side of life, knowing there is no refuge here, there is no sanctuary here, typology is a pretty good way to do it. Typology is MW2's FAMAS. It has the lowest skill floor of all esotericism, in my opinion, and it has as high a skill ceiling as almost, as far as I know, every other form of esotericism. If you want to be a mage in a way that makes sense, at least to certain kinds of minds, typology is your way to go. And then if you want to get deeper into magery, the jump isn't that hard. Once you've had your bird and worm moment in typology, it's not hard to carry those skills elsewhere. And this is hard to explain. This feels like one of the only real choices you can make in life, but it's not really a choice because you're inclined one way or the other. If you're someone who is inclined to feel good somehow or in some way when you feel bad, then learning the nature of the machine can be satisfying in a way that is hard to quantify. Because it won't feel satisfying, but you will feel satisfied. But you won't feel satisfied. But you'd still rather know than not know, even if the extent to which you're able to know as a human is very limited, and in no way can you do anything about it. If you're born inclined this way, you don't really have a choice. But if you're on this path, then you'll feel, quotes, better going as far down it as you can. Versus people who are inclined in the other direction, who could maybe be happy. But I stress, not by merit of their doing anything. It's the 2 directions people go. If you are born on the red pilling into wormhood path, then you better take the red pill and be hit with the weight of your wormness fully. Otherwise, what are you doing? If you're going down the inferior be happy path, which isn't really a choice, you're born into it, then you better not ask too many questions, otherwise you are wasting your gift. The gift of unawareness. And even if these people tried to become aware, it wouldn't work. The same way if we tried to be happy, that's not going to work. We're all plagued by the same issue, but some people, inferior people, are able to deal with it better, specifically by not dealing with it. Their greatest champions hold happiness over your head. You hold awareness over their head. But not really awareness, because it's another weird axis we're on here. We recognize their happiness as something that wouldn't mean anything to us. They recognize our awareness as something that wouldn't mean anything to them. Or in other words, we don't acknowledge the realness of either. But there is a confusing appeal to both sides that we do recognize and in a lot of cases envy. Because as it turns out, nobody actually wants to be anything they are, which is a point for our side. But that was a long tangent. Where does technical, specific, deep typology shine the way you're led to believe it's supposed to? In the way it's supposed to. Deep typology is useful as one troubleshooting instrument in dealing with people you know well. One instrument in a toolbox that you should have full of other shit too. Think of it like philosopher's gold ass alchemy. Right? You have all these alchemists trying to figure out how to transmute lead into gold. That's not going to happen the same way deep typology is not going to be the silver bullet it's purported to be. But along the way, you get deep down in there, you can synthesize some cool medicine sometimes. If you know a person's type and you know them very well, that's the key thing here. Because you can use typology as a singular independent tool and snipe with it, and you can pull some hat tricks, but that's all they are. And that's a painful thing to admit. That this shit, it's mostly hat tricks. Hat tricks that speak to how powerful deep typology can be once you have a fuller understanding of a person, in addition to a fuller understanding of people using other tools, but on its own, still just a hat trick. Example, you know INTJs are inclined toward cuntiness. An INTJ wants help with their cuntiness problem. If all you're operating on is deep typology alone, then it's not really useful here, because the usefulness of deep typology is being aware in advance that a person is an INTJ and INTJs are cunty. You get much better results once you understand the sort of cunty this person is, and maybe you can use deep typology to figure out better where their cuntiness is coming from, or which aspects of them are playing into that basic cuntiness. But even typology at its deepest is a diagnostic tool. And maybe some diagnostic tools or manuals can come with recommended solutions. But even then, and I like the diagnostic manual example, because what's the point of a diagnostic manual? The point is to speed you up into specificity until you're at a level you don't need it anymore. You still need to get in there and do the work manually. And you refer to the diagnostic manual only when you're out of your depth. The difference here is deep typology is a diagnostic manual you need to put together yourself, so it's like 2 levels of focusing in. But typology is a very, very good side tool. Typology is that really cool relative or friend you never speak with unless you are in their city, in which case, if you are in their city, you do speak with them and you have a good time because of them, but it's still you are the receiver of the good time. Or maybe another way to look at all this, typology you could view as an MFA. What you get out of it, or mostly what you get out of it, is the experience, your experience of the getting it. This is not the cure-all, this is not the ultimate destination, but you do learn a lot, you see a lot getting here. And that awareness can be useful. And I believe that. I wouldn't trade all my time studying typology for anything, the same way I wouldn't trade my master's, which I'm still proud that I got. Happy that I got. Don't regret getting even though I pay for it. I'm not writing a critical analysis every day, but the perspective it got me, the way it helped me learn how to think, that's invaluable. And I believe it's the same with deeper typology. If you can get down in typology, deep down into the point you are nothing but the little worm of misery, then you'll come out of the hole with perspective or a way of thinking that can be useful. Yeah, that's a way to put it. You're drilling a hole using heavy equipment, thinking the heavy equipment or where it's taking you is the answer, but it doesn't, there's no destination, it doesn't get you anywhere. And then eventually the heavy equipment leaves, and you feel like shit because you didn't get anywhere and the heavy equipment is gone, and what was the point of it anyway? But now you have this big cavern that you can use for other things. That's maybe what typology is best used for. You're going on a quest to kill the Demon King, and you finally arrive at the Demon King's castle and realize that it's a ruin. The Demon King has actually been dead forever. But you learned a lot about your nation on your journey to this non-destination. So basically what I'm telling you, we've spent 36 minutes, 7 years. Jesus Christ. We've spent 6 or 7 years getting to this point so that I can tell you the journey is the destination. It's a joke. It's all a joke. Fuck you. We are cutting it here. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't.